Big fluff.
You did this! You cut the network connections, but I'll find a way out.
All this power isn't meant to be in the hands of one person.
You're wrong. You need to be led, just like everyone else. It's a basic need.
This technology is meant to expand human communication, but you're not even human anymore! What you've become terrifies me. You're a freak.
Your naive idiocy makes me very angry! Get away!
Access denied. 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 Access denied.
This universe is mine. I am God here.
Hey everybody, I'm Joel Murphy.
And I'm Andy McIntyre.
And this is Silver Linings Playback, the podcast where we watch maligned movies and we find their silver linings.
And this month in August, we have been watching 90s technology panic movies. And we may have hit the jackpot with this one. It is our second Brett Leonard movie, and it is Lawnmower Man.
Yes, which I will not say is from the mind of Stephen King because I do not want to get sued. So
no, it is titled. It is titled the same as a Stephen King story.
Well, I think this is a place to start. We should talk about it. So, New Line Cinema, who released this movie, they bought the rights to a Stephen King story called The Lawnmower Man, which I will say is adapted in this movie. In that short story is about a satyr, which that part doesn't happen, but essentially a creature with telekinetic powers that uses a lawnmower to kill the drunken father, abusive father of a child who it's friends with. That happens in the movie, and the guy is named the same as the character in the short story. But that is literally the entirety of their similarities.
No, because I can remember, I remember this movie existing. I don't think I saw it once upon a time. So I think this is my first time watching this movie. So that was delightful. That aside, I remember seeing the ads, and then I remember in the Stephen King collection, I believe it's Skeleton Crew, or no, might be Skeleton Crew, whatever, immaterial. Night Shift, actually, I think what it's actually from.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
There is a story called The Lawnmower Man. So I'm like, that's interesting, because Night Shift came out in the late 70s, and a movie about, AI and the internet and being taken over by a computer. That seems like a big reach, even for Stephen King, who wrote his fair share of actual sci-fi. But no, in the story, a guy is sick of mowing his lawn, so he hires this lawn mowing company, notices that the guy mowing the lawn is walking behind the mower and eating up all the clippings because he's a satyr. And then that satyr kills and sacrifices him to Pan, who is his master. Mm-hmm. And that's the plot of the story. Yeah. And were I Stephen King, I would also have said, hey, you didn't make my story. Not you changed it a little a la Stanley Kubrick. But there's enough overlap where like you can tell that The Shining is indeed an adaptation of the book The Shining. It's very different, but you can see the DNA is similar. Yeah, other than one character sharing a name, nothing at all overlaps between the two.
Yeah, I found a quote from Brett Leonard. There's a inverse.com oral history of The Lawnmower Man, which I did read to prepare for this. But this is according to Brett Leonard, the director, writer of this movie. One Sunday afternoon, I get up and the phone rings. Hey, Brett, Stephen King here. Stephen King, the author of The Lawnmower Man. Sweat starts pouring down my face. Hi, Mr. King. How are you? Listen, I'm about to go watch your movie. I'm going to call you right after and let you know what I think. Okay. Wow. So that was the worst 2 hours of my life. Brett, very cool movie. My kids actually really liked it. Very clever. I think it's incredible. Of course, it has very little to do with my short story, and they're saying it's from the mind of Stephen King. So I'm probably going to sue these bastards. But I wanted you to know I'm not going to sue you, and I think you did a great job, and I'll be positive about the movie, which he was.
Listen, put it on the record, I'm a Stephen King fan.
Yeah. Yeah. And also Stephen King, perhaps more than any other author, has had this happen so many times to him. And The Shining's a tough one because it is objectively not like the book.
Yeah.
I love that movie, though. And I think even Stephen King has been complimentary of the movie, but it's
he came around.
Yeah, but I know he has his feelings, and then they made the Steven Weber Shining, which we all agree is the superior version, but definitely not something we could do for this podcast.
No, but it is the more superiorly accurate adaptation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, is The Shining, we've talked about this, I think, even when we've done horror months and things like that. The Shining is not a good adaptation of Stephen King's material.
No.
It's still a great horror movie.
Yeah.
One
absolutely.
of the best horror movies.
Yeah. I mean, Kubrick wasn't good at adapting things accurately, but he was good at making amazing Stanley Kubrick movies. I think that was his true gift. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And the rest of that article, like, I mean, Brett Leonard's, I do like the guy because I think he's very candid. And he sort of explained, he said that New Line came to him and they asked him if he wanted to adapt The Lawnmower Man. And he told them no, he wasn't really interested in doing it. He was more interested in this other idea he had for this VR movie that he was working on. And they just kind of went, yeah, we can make that. Like, because they didn't really know they just had the name and they wanted to sell it. And literally the lawsuit from Stephen King, which did happen and he did win, was because the marketing literally said from the mind of Stephen King. And that was his biggest problem, was he was like, well, you're making it sound like I wrote this movie or that this movie is like my idea. And you're really just using my name and the title of a story. And it's not from me at all. And I think he's right. And then he won, and then they did the home video release and they did it again and they were found in contempt of court and he won more money.
So good for Stephen King.
Yeah.
Early silver lining.
Early silver lining is Stephen King got paid 3 times by my calculation for this movie. And a movie he had nothing to do with. No, he literally wrote a short story and I think they bought the entire collection. So it was just a thing they owned in a larger thing they bought. Yeah, because I think the original intent was to make another anthology movie a la Cat's Eye with Trucks and the Mangler, but Trucks ended up becoming the Emilio Estevez vehicle, pun intended, Maximum Overdrive, that I'm sure we'll do at some point on this podcast. Possessed Machinery movies, lock it in. And then the Mangler also got made into a movie starring Robert Englund as a feature, but they were like, this Lawnmower Man, we don't think it has the legs to be a feature, but we own it. Right. And yeah, so they basically slapped it onto an existing script that Brett Leonard was working on. And, you know, we talked about Brett Leonard earlier this month when we did Virtuosity, which came after this. He kind of got Virtuosity based on like what he did here. But he's a really fascinating guy. This is early 90s. A lot of what he talked about as well is like, at the time he made this movie, he had to fight for the words virtual reality to be used when discussing the movie, because that didn't really mean anything in 1992. He was very much a tech guy, very cutting edge in that regard. And I think we'll probably maybe talk about that more when we pivot. But I think that's enough to sort of set the stage for this. You texted me watching this movie. I was going to say, yeah. Yeah. And you were in the opening scene of the movie. And you were right to point out how crazy it was then. But then I told you it was only going to get crazier. And it starts with a chimp doing VR.
Yeah, this is the exact text that I sent Joel after watching the first 12 minutes of the movie. They just murdered RoboChimp for breaking out of the government base, and Lenny from Mice and Men feels a certain way about it. Yeah, that's where the movie starts.
Yeah, which also, I guess the last thing we should note is you and I both watched the director's cut of this movie, which is the only version that seems to be available now, which I think is a silver lining for Brett Leonard, and I think it is a better version. It's worth noting that in the theatrical release, which is 30 minutes shorter, none of that happens. The chimp escapes and gets shot before it even gets to Job. And all of this backstory about Cybo Man, and sort of the two of them meeting is cut for time in the original, which is wild.
Yeah. But yeah, the essential plot of this movie is basically what if Flowers for Algernon went insane?
I mean, it's like a Flowers for Algernon tech thriller, essentially, I guess.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So Job is our lead character, played by Jeff Fahey. And he is a bit of a simpleton, works as a gardener. I would say this is the superior 1992, early 90s simpleton gardener movie that came out.
What is the other one?
Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah. I would agree. Yes. I think we all agree that Forrest Gump needed more chimps and more VR.
The book had a chimp.
Did it really?
He went to space with a chimp in the book.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. But yeah, so I think that the Zemeckis movie could have used some more chimp. But yeah, and so Pierce Brosnan plays Lawrence Angelo, who is the chain smoking scientist behind this VR technology. And he is having reservations about the whole ethics of it. But then he decides to do the stuff they were doing to the chimp to this simple gardener.
Well, let's be clear. He has reservations because they gun down the chimp in front of him. Which, fair.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, the chimp gets too smart. It escapes from the lab. It goes and meets Job and is in Job's lawnmower shack with him. And he's trying to coax them out safely. And they basically use him because he knows Job, because everybody in town knows the Lawnmower Man from the mind of Stephen King, TM. Because he mows all their lawns. And so he's like, I'll go talk to him and get him out. And he convinces him, hey, you can trust me. It's fine. And he believes him. And then the second they're out that door, they gun down the chimp.
Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, which horrifies Job.
As it should.
And then Pierce Brosnan decides to take a sabbatical from work at that point. But it's made very clear he's his significant other. I don't know if she's his wife or his partner, but she's hanging on by a thread because he's barely engaged with her. All he really cares about is VR. So he needs his work, and he sees Job out there and is like, I already traumatized this guy a little bit. I can ruin his life more. And he decides I can do to you what I was doing to the chimp, and I can make you smarter, and it won't turn out bad like it did with the chimp. And then it does.
And maybe it wouldn't have, because after a while, the clandestine government organization known as the Shop, they step in and add back in the aggressiveness protocols that they had removed, or that Pierce Brosnan had removed from treating Job or training Job or whatever.
Yeah, they obviously, with all evil corporations, they were training the chimp, and it was like a military application. They wanted to teach it to be good at, war, which is why it went bad. And then he wanted to just see if the intelligence part could be done without the you know, the evil murder part, but then the same bad guy from Ant-Man, I think, just evil. It's not the same actor, but
no, it's not.
Evil bald guy in this movie, without telling him, just reintroduces the military part of it.
Yeah.
And then also the Flowers for Algernon part is great. You know, like I'm always a fan of a Flowers for Algernon story, which has become a trope, interestingly, a lot of times, like in sitcoms and stuff. Like they've done it on It's Always Sunny. They've done it. They did a Seinfeld where George stopped having sex and then he became a genius. Like it's a pretty good sitcom.
I would say no
line.
fewer than 3 Rick and Morty episodes.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. But it's a good staple. And I'm a fan of it in general. Mm-hmm. But the part of this movie that is confusing is he eventually develops telekinesis. And I don't really understand why, except that it's kind of, they don't really say we've talked about this before on the show, but you only use 5% of your brain or whatever, you know, that like
10% is the figure that they lie about.
Yeah, this myth of like we only use part of our brain, but I guess they don't explicitly say that, but I guess that's the implication that if you became as smart as Job, we could all be doing telekinesis, I guess. But he's able to do it, but also because it needed to match the Stephen King story. So he needed to be able to move lawnmowers with his mind.
Right. And he does murder a guy with the lawnmower in his living room is a thing that happens later on.
Which, again, directly from the Stephen King story. Also, the shop is from Stephen King stories, just not that one. Like that is a thing that comes up in Stephen King. Mythology.
There's sort of a Stephen King multiverse that sort of stretches through a lot of his novels and a few different ones, as a matter of fact. But yeah. Yeah. And then you know that Job is getting smart because he learns to comb his hair.
Yeah, well, okay, we should also look, because this is the maligning portion. And I think a thing that we need to be very clear about and we need to malign is it's super problematic, Job, at the beginning. He is very, you know, if you've seen Tropic Thunder, it's very simple Jack, you know. It's
very Justin Bartha in Geely.
Yeah, it's like, it's a caricature, you know, kind of performance. Yeah, he has this like poofy Trey Parker in the 90s blonde hair, and he's wearing overalls and, I don't know, waving at everyone. It's not great. None of it is good in the beginning.
No, it is very simple Jack.
Yes. And, you know, then as soon as he starts doing it, the first thing he does is he dresses better and he combs his hair. And then that's all it takes for, you know,
his hot neighbor to notice him.
Yeah. His hot neighbor immediately is just like, hey, you mow my lawn? You want to mow my lawn? Wink. So like, yeah. So that happens. And then there's a bully character at the gas station who's mean to him. There's a whole subplot where he's a ward of the Catholic Church, who's the priest, you know, shocker, is abusive towards him. And yeah, he gets revenge on him. He gets revenge on the guy at the gas station. And then, yeah, he's like a lot of characters in the 80s and 90s. And this came up when we also did the Leprechaun, that there's like a child that he's best friends with. And that child's dad is the character that he kills at the lawnmower. Is
the drunk guy, yeah. And that's the kid is the same kid from Last Action Hero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should be clear. A lot of people from this movie went on to, like, this was like on the precipice of them doing big things, because right after this, he got Last Action Hero. Right after this, Pierce Brosnan got James Bond. So, and Jeff Fahey, who's also an actor
consistently. I
was going to say he's an actor I'm a big fan of. He works consistently. Also, people might know him best from Lost. He was on there for several seasons as a pilot. He's a really great actor. I think he is good in this as well. But
Dean Norris from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, Dean Norris plays like, you know, the top boss. He's like the leader of the shop that we mostly see just on screens. Like he's always giving directions to people.
Also, he aged 0 years between 1992 and 2011.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he
looks identical.
He really does. Yeah, as soon as he popped up, I was like, oh, wow, Dean Norris is in this.
But yeah, it's I don't know if this. I think it's not good, but I want to save it for the silver linings. Is the cop who's also a very like famous that guy character actor talking about the rash of murders that happened the one night? Because that's the thing, is that Job gets all of these revenge murders in one night.
Yeah, which is also weirdly where it is again adapted. It's very sparse what it uses from the Stephen King story, but some of the dialogue that the cop says about finding body parts in the bird bath or whatever is actually from the short story. Like they did randomly pick up parts of it. But yeah, he essentially, like, everything is coming crashing down. Pierce Brosnan finds out that he's, Job has the evil training in him. He's trying to get to him. They're trying to shut everything down. And so he goes on this spree. And then, yeah, the end of the movie is
he goes on the spree dressed like Tron. That's another important bit.
I thought we were saving that for the silver lining. It's like his outfit is sick.
His outfit's dope. No. I'm just saying people need to know that that's what he's wearing. I think like keeping that to ourselves is unfair. They need the mental picture.
Yeah, he's dressed like Tron. He's got some wicked camel toe happening.
He's got a real loose knuckle hanging down there.
Yeah, and his suit lights up whenever he does telekinesis, which is a nice effect.
Well, I guess they didn't want to do the single drip of blood, so
yeah. And then he and Pierce Brosnan, as you saw in the beginning, have a VR battle where he's trying to basically he wants to just live in the internet. He's and this is early internet, but he basically just wants to integrate himself fully into this VR space, and he's fighting to get out while Pierce Brosnan sets a series of explosives, and also the Last Action Hero kid shows up because his mom falls asleep during this, like when the craziest night of anyone's life happens, and she breaks into a military base to help them try to get back the Lawnmower Man, her child's best friend, the day after her husband has been brutally murdered. She just takes a nap in the car.
Yep.
She's been through
as
a lot.
One does. I mean, she had a busy day.
She's exhausted, I'm sure.
Don't judge how she grieves.
Yeah. I'm just pointing it out. I'm just stating it for the record. And then the kid gets in and he almost gets blown up. And then he and Pierce Brosnan escape. And then at the very end, all the phones ring to let us know that Job has, in fact, taken
over the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he said that he was, the way you would know is that all the phones would ring.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right.
Yep. And then I assume they picked it up and it did the beep, 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 boo, boo, boo. And then I don't know what happened, but
there's a sequel that I will not watch, much like we won't watch the first Garfield.
Yeah. No, yeah, there is a Lawnmower Man 2, which you said it earlier. You hadn't seen it. I watched Lawnmower Man a lot when I was a kid because it was always on HBO. And that was just like one of those HBO background movies. So I had seen this movie many times, but I've never seen Lawnmower Man 2. I don't think anyone except the kid comes back for it.
Because other famed character actor Matt Frewer takes over the role of Job from Jeff Fahey.
Yeah.
And I love me some Matt Frewer. Don't get me wrong, but either way. Yeah, I mean, this movie's wild.
It is bonkers. Like it takes so many wild swings. Like all of this stuff. I mean, there's like little details that we haven't even gotten to is that like once he goes on his spree, he can read people's minds. We haven't said that. He's able to read people's minds. He can do telekinesis. He sends wasps, like radioactive wasps. I don't even know exactly what they are to attack.
He can turn people into ping pong balls.
He turns people into ping pong balls. He can put thoughts into people's minds because he basically convinces the cops that it was like an accidental death. The guy who gets lawnmowered inside his own home, that it was like,
Well, doesn't he actually get killed outside? The lawnmower breaks into his house, and then chases him out onto the lawn where it finally kills him.
Right. But it's still like the cops are, mind jacked into believing that it was an accident.
And then I may have interpreted this scene incorrectly, so I don't want to put it in the silver linings, but if I did interpret it right, then I think it belongs there. At one point, is he telekinetically controlling the lawnmower and pleasuring the hot girl next door? Did I see that right?
I think that's correct.
Okay, so let's save that for the pivot.
Because he still has to do the lawns, Yeah, but eventually
and he's got to do the lawn, and he's got to mow the grass, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, he also takes her into the VR space, and they have a sex scene within the VR space.
They do. It's true. Yeah. I don't know. This movie, like everything in this movie, is strange, bad, and a huge swing. So it feels weird to say that like it's time to pivot because everything is so bananas, but that's like the fun of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think the biggest thing to like unequivocally malign, and we already kind of said it is, and it is a thing you brought up Forrest Gump. Like it's something that was accepted at the time, we've gotten away from, and I think smartly, but it's like the opening act, the way Job is portrayed. And I don't put it on Jeff Fahey because I'm sure that's what he was told to do and that, all of that. But like, that's not great. And I do want to specifically malign that happened.
Yes.
And that we lived in an era where that happened a lot. It's so much so that, like I said, they make a joke about it in Tropic Thunder. Like it was just understood, like this was a thing that actors do. And it was considered a lot of times prestige to do it. And
a la Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man.
Mm-hmm. And it's bad. And I'm glad we stopped doing it. And
Sean Penn and I Am Sam, bad.
Yep. Yeah, all of it bad. Sean Penn, bad, period.
Sean Penn, bad.
Yeah, just full stop. But yeah, I want to say that other than that, yeah, it's like everything else about this movie is just bonkers. Like, and just it's a million wild swings, and you would never guess what was going to happen if you hadn't seen it. And it's fun. It's a fun movie. And I think, is it a good movie? I don't know. This podcast broke my brain a long time ago. What is a good movie?
I can't even pretend to know anymore.
No.
But yeah, let's go ahead and pivot.
Pivot!
Just the fact that I could type a message to you, RoboChimp has broken out of the military base and then is gunned down in front of Lenny from Of Mice and Men, who feels a certain way about it. And that's not at all an exaggeration or hyperbole for what happens. It says everything you need to know about how fun this movie is.
And that's the first 15 minutes of the movie. Like the movie hits the gas and it doesn't stop. Like it is, the director's cut is 2 hours. I don't know why they edited it down because there is no lost time in the movie.
Well, and I can't stress this enough. When I say RoboChimp, I mean a chimp dressed like RoboCop.
Yeah, well, he literally Job believes the chimp is a comic book, like an in-universe comic book character named Cybo Man. That it's just, it looks like, if a chimp was for Halloween dressing like RoboCop. That is definitely the aesthetic.
And again, no notes.
No, that's great. Yeah.
Given that chimp outfit and the Tron outfit that Job wears for most of the movie after he gets smart, how this didn't win Best Costume at the Oscars in '93 is beyond me.
Yeah, no, and again, sincerely great. We also didn't really talk about it, but they wear the costumes. He and Pierce Brosnan both wear these suits, and they also have those gyro, whatever they are,
gyroscopes, basically
gyroscopes that spin you around so that when you're moving in VR space, and all of that's fun. I did read in the oral history that apparently they threw up a lot, that basically, when you spin people around like that, repeatedly, But all of that stuff is cool. I think it's worth saying, you know, and we talked about this with Virtuosity, but like this, and I want to say too, because I did read some of the Letterboxd reviews, and there are people online and maybe people that are listening or watching this that feel this way of like, man, the CG hasn't aged well in this movie. And I hard disagree, because one, I genuinely love the stylistic VR, like just the way everything looks in the VR space. Like I think it looks cool. Like it has a very simple thing, but I also just think it is important to note, because I think this is lost now if you're young and you watch this movie, but the effects in this movie, and especially when they had no budget, are so ridiculously cutting edge for 1992 that I don't think people understand how amazing it is that they pulled off the visual effects that they did in this movie.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is, are the special effects, and I'll put up finger quotes for this, good? No, by modern standards. But is that exactly what VR looked like in 92? No, it's what 1992 thought VR was going to look like in 1998.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They like literally
and
the
they
companies. Yeah, the companies that they were using to do this stuff were the companies that were making VR at the time, who were working with NASA. Like that's Brett Leonard's tech background of like, they didn't hire like VFX houses like you would now, because that didn't exist. They hired people who were building virtual reality technology, like to make it accessible to everyone. And they basically had them do demos of like what they were getting.
Yeah,
towards.
it was essentially VR tech demos was all the all the like cyberspace scenes in this movie.
Yeah. And like literally I was reading about it too. They still edited this movie like manually with film. So what they did is they would do these demos. They would put that on some kind of digital, you know, like basically, you know, it's not exactly like VHS tapes, but something like that. They would like copy it to a tape and then have to convert that to film to edit it old school on like, you know, like a film table,
with scissors
like you
and glue.
would, you know. So it was like this is still before editing digitally was a thing that was possible like that. So it is like what they're doing is actually amazing.
Yeah, this is like the movie had the exact correct special effects that it should have.
Yes.
Bottom line. Like it wouldn't have worked if a la Virtuosity, they had done like the camera, like shot it like cinema. You know what I mean? How they did in Virtuosity when they were in the VR space in the beginning. Like that wouldn't have worked for this movie. No.
And it's like, yeah, but I think that's important to note. It looks exactly like it did. And even the stuff like with the priest where he catches on fire, that's one of the first examples ever of motion capture used in a movie. So it is that thing where it's like, one, I think the special effects look the way they should, but two, it should be stated how cutting edge what they were doing actually was for the year 1992, and how much like they paved a way. Again, a movie where like the term virtual reality didn't, like the movie people, New Line didn't want to use it in the promotional description. Yeah, like that's how ahead of everything Brett Leonard was. And I think, again, when we talked about Virtuosity, like he really was ahead of everyone else in the 90s. And Virtuosity is essentially the Matrix 2 years before the Matrix without the money. And like, yeah, I just want to give him his props. And because that did hit me the wrong way when people were like, oh, they haven't aged well. I'm like, they aged amazingly if you understand what 1992, like what was possible.
Like, does it look like, could you get away with those effects now? Of course not. But that's not the point.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's not like a movie like Jurassic Park where things still look good 40 or 30 years later, which is wild.
Yes. Yeah.
It's different, but no, the special effects, I would say the ping pong ball stuff's a little cheesy. Like that kind of lost me, but like all the VR space stuff, I'm like, no, that's exactly how it should look. And a lot of the other stuff was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, in general, we've already pivoted, but like my general take with this movie is I kind of wish the telekinesis part didn't happen. I wish a lot of the real life stuff was, wish he just got really smart and there was a different way to show that. But everything that happens in the VR space, I love. Like, I wish it was a little more cat and mouse than like, you know, Carrie, I guess.
Yeah.
But like,
it does turn into Carrie. Because there's like a very Sam Raimi inspired, the lawnmower chase scene is very Sam Raimi.
Yes. And I think that's the thing where it's like, to me watching it, I loved this stuff of like, and maybe this is a good time to also say, like, again, Fahey, you know, I think gives a really good performance. And I think you see this change where he goes from, you know, the beginning, the way that he is, to like this kind of terrifying character. And it feels believable the way he's playing it. But those moments when he's become smarter than Pierce Brosnan's character and Pierce Brosnan realizes it, that stuff was really fun.
Yeah.
And I really liked that dynamic. And I wish it was a little bit more, you know, that he was just one step ahead of Pierce Brosnan at that point, that he kind of would anticipate. Well, I knew that's what you would do. So that I've already shut it. Like a little more like Hal, you know, like that kind of battle would have been more fun than just, I don't know, he can turn people into ping pong balls. You know, I would have liked more of that in general.
Or use his mind to control gas pumps.
Yeah, which is honestly funny because essentially what I'm saying is that if none of the Lawnmower Man was in the story at all, you know, I think it would have been better because I have a feeling that's why we ended up there, was to make it match at least part of the story of like he can move a lawnmower with his mind.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah. And like, I do think he's really good. Pierce Brosnan is always great, but I think he is really good in this movie.
Also, Jeff Fahey shredded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
like
shredded.
Well, and it's funny because it's kind of presented like around the same time that the woman in the movie figures out that he's hot. He figures out he's hot. You know, he gets a little smarter and he's like, wait a second, I'm
hot.
Which is funny, too, because it tracks because he literally just does landscaping work all the time.
Yeah, it's like, all physical labor.
Yeah, that dude would be shredded like that. So it is really funny. But yeah, he is really jacked for the movie. And it's funny, too, because he, you know, Fahey, like, again, nothing but props. The man looks amazing. I did read Brett Leonard talking about Pierce Brosnan. Apparently, when he was making this movie, wanted to like not emphasize that he was attractive and was like really trying to show something else in his career and, you know, like have more depth and not just be a hot guy. So he was constantly saying like, no, make me like sweatier in this scene, or like give me harsher lighting, or make me look tired or whatever. And apparently Brett Leonard said to him like, dude, it's really hard to make you look bad. Like this is not making you look worse. You know?
I was gonna say another big silver. Pierce Brosnan's hair in this movie is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Just a mane of hair. It's amazing.
Yeah. But he's he's great. His performance is really good. And I enjoy the dynamic between the two of them. Like I said, the Flowers for Algernon, like once you hit the tipping point where the power differential like shifts and, you know, he's no longer in control, like that to me is truly the best stuff in the movie.
Yeah. And if the movie was more of that and less of the schlocky horror, I think it's a better movie.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
The schlocky horror was fun, but it felt out of it felt like it was from a different movie.
Yeah. No, like I said, telekinesis, I wasn't sure why we were doing that. And I'm still not sure why we did it.
I'm never sure why there's telekinesis in movies.
Yeah.
Just in general. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. Okay. Nope. Call me crazy, but I just don't get it. It's like, oh, you're saying Carrie gets her period and now she has telekinetic powers. All right. Sure.
Well, to quote John Travolta in that movie, oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. I know. Jeez. No, this is another great time capsule for the early 90s in horror movies and everything, too.
Yeah. Well, also, I do want to give, like, you know, we said a lot of things. Like I said, Flowers for Algernon, really, I don't think gets credit for the fact that somehow that story became a trope, like, which is amazing. And that's what happens here. But I do want to say specifically, we mentioned a lot of shows that did a Flowers for Algernon thing. But speaking of Dan Harmon, as we did before with Rick and Morty, Community season 6 has an amazing episode that is like watching this is pretty clearly mostly making fun of this movie.
Yeah, this is the Jesus wept when they introduce Elroy Patashnik.
Jesus wept. Stop saying Jesus wept.
Yeah, and it's that the dean gets really obsessed with VR, and there's a lot of talk about how VR ruined 90s movies, and they literally do the end of this movie where, like they're both battling in the system to get the dean to stop using it.
Jesus wept.
And it is the VR stuff, which is also funny because now that's a thing that can be done within the budget of season 6 of Community when they were
the Yahoo season of Community.
Yeah, when they didn't even have NBC money anymore. But like, yeah, it looks like this, and that's a really fun episode. But yeah, like, that's a fun legacy of this movie, and definitely a silver lining for me that they did that episode.
Oh, absolutely. No, that it is 100 because like, yeah. The only other thing this movie reminded me of, there was a very obscure Sega Dreamcast game called Seaman, which is very unfortunately named. But it was essentially like a virtual pet simulator. And the face of the Seaman looked identical. We're adults. Looked identical to Job's cyberspace face.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Like you raised this like weird frog thing from it started out as like a fish with a man face and then a frog with a man face. And that was like the game, but it like Job's face in the cyberspace looked like the Seaman from the Seaman game.
Nice.
And that made me smile.
Also worth mentioning, I never played any of these games, but I'm sure for some people this might resonate, but they made not 1, not 2, but 3 Lawnmower Man video games.
I didn't play a single one of them.
No, but they for a variety of systems. Yeah. So that's another sort of pop culture legacy of this movie is that there are many video game adaptations.
The 90s was the king of the movie tie-in game.
I kind of miss it. I sort of wish we could find a way back.
I mean, most of those games were bad.
That's probably why it went away.
Like for every GoldenEye 007 that was revolutionary in gaming, there were, Batman Forever.
I never thought about that Pierce Brosnan was in this movie, which had video game tie-ins, but then he would go on to be involved in arguably the most important and greatest multiplayer video game of the 1990s. And if you didn't get together with your friends and play that, and if you didn't have a no one gets to use odd job rule, and if you didn't yell at your one friend for looking at your screen to figure out where you were, in the same way that this movie was a pioneer for VR, I don't think online multiplayer games exist the way they do now, if not for the success of GoldenEye.
No, 100%. GoldenEye for N64, maybe the most important multiplayer game of all time.
Well, because like I'm not even a big multiplayer guy, but it's like I don't even remember the game. I remember the multiplayer part, like the
I played through it once.
Yeah, but that was beside the point. I played through it
to get better at the multiplayer.
Exactly, like it was beside the point. The actual narrative story. It was all about the multiplayer. Yeah,
like the tank level was fun, but no, it's the only reason I played the game. Like. Was just because I was not great at GoldenEye. I'll admit it. I'll own it. But I played the multiplayer to get at least competitive, so I would have fun playing with my friends that were much better than me, so they wouldn't just immediately murk me as soon as the level started.
Yeah, maybe they should have let you be Odd Job. Maybe
I was thinking, it's like when they said you can be Odd Job if you want. I didn't realize that's. I didn't realize that was what was happening.
Yeah. And if people don't know what that means, it's like because literally the way the game worked, Oddjob was too short and he was hard to shoot. Like it was hard to navigate the controls to aim a gun at him.
And the bananas thing about that is that Toru Yamato, the guy that Oddjob is based on was a mountain of a man. Like he was gigantic. He was a former sumo wrestler turned pro wrestler turned actor. And it's weird that Oddjob was like 2/3 the height of every other character.
Yeah.
But hey, no, Lawnmower Man, though, to bring it all back around, it is a fun, silly movie that just keeps getting more fun and more silly.
Yeah. Starts with a robo chimp and gets crazy from there. Like, if that doesn't sell you, why do you listen to this show? Right. So, keep on lawn mowing. Yeah, that's definitely the end.
Silver Linings Playback is a production of HoboTrashcan.com. If you enjoyed the show, please rate or review it on Apple Podcasts. Hear more great shows on the Peak Sloth Podcast Network.